Bang! Neeves Knives. I'm Jared, and today's video is about a knife I found for you guys that looks very similar to a Rockstead Higo. The difference is, instead of being $1,000, it's under $100. Now, what makes a Rockstead Higo so awesome and so amazing, and why these knives are so expensive, we will talk about later on in the video. But first, let's show this budget version, but a budget knife that's very similar to the Rockstead Higo, and this is a Katsu knife. Now, if you look at this knife, you can see it is very similar in a lot of ways to the Rockstead Higo. Now, obviously, the Rockstead is a thumb stud action, and this is a front flipping action. But when we look at the overall shape and design, they have a lot of similarities. Now, this knife has carbon fiber on it, which the Rockstead comes in too, but mine is a wood version. This one has carbon fiber. Now, this is a high polished carbon fiber. Now, if we look over here at my concept Shikari, you can see the carbon fiber has kind of a satin finish on it instead of a high polish. This has basically a high polish finish. So it's very glassy, very smooth. It has a very good look to it. I do like the look of this carbon fiber. Then we have a nice tall front flipper and beautiful front flipping action. Good access to the lock bar, just like the Rockstead, except for this one is on bearings. So on a Rocksteads have that very tight, glassy, smooth action, kind of like a Sebenza. Yes, you can flick it, and it's not going to be drop shutty like a knife on bearings. It's a very tight, smooth action. If I let go of the lock bar or disengage the lock bar, yes, it drops straight down. Mine is incredibly broken in, but the smoothness is a very tight pivot smoothness. So it's tight, but also very glassy smooth. That's hard to really understand without feeling it, but the best way I can explain it is like a Sebenza. But like I said, you can flick it, and if you drop, you can slap it shut, at least mine. Some of them, especially when you first get them, they're very tight and you can't drop them like that. But after they break in, they do get very smooth on the drop. It's a tighter, smooth feeling. Now this is on bearings, so it's more of a loose feeling, more false shutty. The detent is very well tuned for a front flipper. The action is incredible on this front flipper, and I love that they have such good access to the lock bar. Nice and centered, very solid all directions. And when we look at this blade, this 154 cm blade, by the way, 154 cm, it is a convex grind. Now, not as well done as a Rockstead, however, still very, very awesome. Now, this has a zero grind on it, meaning there's no edge bevel. Like, if I show you another knife, I can show you what an edge bevel looks like. Like on my Kubi KU 321, you see how this has an edge bevel on it. You can see my edge, it has a bevel. Now with this, it almost doesn't look like there's an edge bevel. It almost looks like a zero grind, but it does have a micro bevel on it. But they did almost fully convex it down to a zero grind. Almost, but they did put a micro bevel on it, which this means it'll be very easy to strop. This actually has a real true zero grind on it with a fully convexed grind. Now, this one has a satin finish, not a polish, but still very, very well done, very comfortable in the hand. Very, very nice in the hand, and very neutral ergos, meaning you can hold it in any direction comfortably, even in the reverse grip. Now, this is trying to be like a Japanese knife. They are simulating a Japanese knife for you. And It is a pretty good job. Like, you know, for under $100, this is pretty decent. We have steel liners. They're not as robust as a Rockstead. As you can see, the Rockstead is a very thick liner lock, very big stop pin, you know, very robust. This is a lot more robust than this knife, of course. But you're still getting that very Japanese-esque style knife. Now, the sheath, you know, similar to the Rockstead, is a leather sheath, and this one comes with a buckle, though. Now, you can carry this scout carry, or you can carry it on the side of your belt. So you can put this on the lower part of your back on your belt sideways, like this, or you can carry it up and down on your belt, which is pretty cool that they did that, where they made it where you can carry it either direction. Now, I personally would probably find a different sheath, just because I would rather, or cut this belt off is what I'd probably do, because I would rather not have the buckle. But a lot of people do like the buckle, so I guess it just depends on what your preference is. But there's lots of sheaths you can get and lots of slips you can get that would fit this knife perfectly. Now, what makes a Rockstead so incredible? Why are they so expensive? Well, one thing is that the hand finishing work and the fitment and all of that is, you know, it comes at a cost to have things hand done. Now, this is a production knife that has a lot of hand finishing work on it. So all the tight tolerances, everything's fit perfectly. Now, aside from that stuff, the blade. If you think of Japanese katanas, Japanese swords, Japanese, you know, metallurgy and blades, most people think of the build quality and the care that they put into their steels. Their steels are on another level. They heat treat them to an insane degree, right? That's basically what it boils down to, is the level and precision that they put into the quality of their steels. Now, that's what that is why this is so special. So you see this little dot right there. That little dot right there is an HRC mark. That means that they checked the HRC on this knife. So this steel is ZDP 189. Now, ZDP 189 at a low HRC is a regular steel. But when you start bringing it up over 60 HRC, 62 HRC, 63 HRC, you are getting it's turning it into basically a super steel. The edge retention and how sharp it can get goes through the roof. I mean, it goes from a regular steel to a super steel, where your edge can stay sharp for an incredibly long time. Now, most people can't understand what, say, this one is 66.3 HRC. A lot of people don't understand what that means. You can cut glass around 66 HRC. So imagine how hard your steel has to be in order to do that. That means steel a little bit over 66 HRC can start cutting glass. That's insane. That shows you how hard this steel is. It's incredibly, incredibly hard. So, you know, that is the reasons why, is the care and quality they put into their steel, which is the most important part of a knife, right? So they put the Japanese quality into these knives. Now, they also hand polish these, the blades, you know, and they start from a low grit all the way up to a very high grit, so that you get this high, beautiful, polished blade. Now, and then they do a zero grind convex edge, which is incredible to do a convex edge and convex grind at a high mirror polish that is perfectly well done. You don't see any, you know, imperfections in the markings and the grinds into anything. It's just so well done, so perfectly well done. Even their bead blast at the top is very, very well done. Everything is just so perfectly well done and to the highest tolerances to the highest perfection and to the highest HRC they can possibly get, which, you know, makes it, you know, the type of build quality you expect from traditional Japanese, you know, knives, Japanese, you know, type of materials, I guess you could say, or build quality, however you want to put it. You guys get what I'm saying. Now, this doesn't obviously have that, but it simulates the look. It simulates, you know, that type of, you know, feeling, I guess, without having it. This 154 CM is probably HRC'd at probably 58 to 60 HRC. That's probably what this 154 CM, which is perfectly adequate for 154 CM. You know, it's not going to be able to hold its edge as long as the Rockstead or anything like that, but it still, you know, simulates that type of Japanese style blade, Japanese style knife, while still being very good quality. I'm not saying this is bad or poor quality. This is decent quality. This is good quality. You know, it's just, it's not to that level, you know. So, but awesome as it is, I will try to link a few of them down below because they do come in different styles, different materials and things like that. And I appreciate you guys watching. I love you guys. Peace.